And there, let's bring in now the Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg. A very big morning for any Treasurer post-budget. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael. Nice to be with you.
Now, I want to start with you, as I did with the Prime Minister, and just try to get an answer on the vaccination program. In the budget last night, you talked about having a population-wide vaccine program in place. The words used, in place, by the end of the year. Can you guarantee that all Australians will get a double dose, be fully vaccinated in this country by December the 31st?
Well, obviously our focus is to roll out the vaccine as fast as possible, and that assumption in the budget last night was based on the best medical advice from the Chief Medical Officer, and we've seen more than 400,000 people receive a dose over the course of the last week. That's up from the week before. Around 10% of the population has already been vaccinated, around 30% of the population of those aged over 70, Michael. So we're getting more supply online. We've got around 5,000 contact points set around the country, including GPs and other state and territory based clinics. That is all designed to ensure that we get the vaccine out as fast as possible to as many people as possible.
OK, but you've got a long way to go. 400,000 a week is great, but we're talking about 1 million doses plus to try to get to that target by the end of the year. Is it too heroic an assumption?
Again, it's an assumption based on the best medical advice at this time. What is really key to our economic recovery and the momentum continuing is that we are able to successfully suppress the virus when there are new outbreaks. We're not seeking to eliminate the virus. You can't do that. It's stubborn, it's deadly, it is all around. What we can do, though, is manage those outbreaks effectively when they occur. That's why the premiers need to have a proportionate response, and that is why it's really important that we remain vigilant, that we extend those health measures in last night's budget around telehealth, around respiratory clinics, around GP services, and of course the procurement of vaccines, more than $3 billion in last night's budget. So it is critically important that we suppress the virus, because this is first and foremost a health crisis that is having a severe economic impact.
Aged care reforms total close to $18 billion, which is the bare minimum necessary given the shocking revelations on Four Corners and, of course, from the Royal Commission after that. But advocates, Treasurer, are saying while they welcome that money, it is nowhere near enough to really fix the system. What do you say to them?
Well, Michael, we have responded very strongly to the Royal Commission. We have spent already more than $23 billion a year on aged care, but as you say, there was a $17.7 billion commitment last night. It's not just about funding, it's actually also about reforms to the workforce, with 33,000 new training places for carers, special support for those carers who are dealing with dementia patients, a new act, stronger regulators, 1,500 more spot audits around the country. And of course, with residential care, we're providing a $10 a day per resident boost to the base funding, as well as increasing the mandatory requirement for the minimum amount of time that is spent by carers and nurses with individual residents. That's important. And on top, there's 80,000 new home care packages, 40,000 from this year, 40,000 next year. And a key challenge we have in rolling out so many new home care packages is having the workforce to deliver those packages. So we've looked right across the board. We've looked at this comprehensive Royal Commission, and we've responded in kind.
The tourism industry has gone to DEFCON 1 this morning. They are going ballistic about the border staying shut now until the middle of next year, cranky about not enough money, extra money being offered to help many struggling businesses in places like Cairns in Queensland. What do you say to them, and are you prepared for more tourism businesses to go under after making, for as you argue, a health-based decision on our international border?
Well, there was a very substantial package of announcements that we have made to support the aviation, the tourism sector, as well as the arts and the entertainment sector, and last night with the international education providers. all of whom have been affected by those border closures, but also the overall health restrictions have been put in place. The 800,000 half-price airfares have helped those regional communities, like you indicated, in Cairns. The most popular ticket out of Melbourne is to go up north to Queensland for people to take advantage of those half-price airfares. When it comes to that international border closure, again, that's an assumption, not a policy decision. It's an assumption that the borders will gradually reopen from next year, but important to that is how the virus is being contained or indeed spreading around the rest of the world. We've seen the terrible images out of India. We know that there are new variants of the virus, and so that those sort of issues will be factors in the mind of the Chief Medical Officer when they're providing advice to government. But of course, our first priority, Michael, is to keep Australians safe and to follow the medical advice as we've always done through this crisis.
Just finally, very quickly, sadly, we don't know when this dreadful pandemic is going to end. We do know that the government has to go to the people by May next year. The Prime Minister just told me the election will be next year. Is that your time frame too?
Well, certainly the Prime Minister is the one who makes that call, but this is a budget that has been released in the middle of a pandemic, and we know that how fragile the global situation really is and that the virus continues to spread. We need to secure the economic recovery that we've made. This is the Morrison government's plan to create 250,000 new jobs with record spending in infrastructure and skills, and of course tax relief for families, as well as more business investment incentives to allow them to do what they do best, which is to innovate, to hire and to grow. Our focus is on jobs, driving the unemployment down from the 5.6% it is today, even below 5%, which is the number that Treasury is forecasting will reach by the end of next year.
Treasurer, you've got a busy morning, a very busy day. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Michael, my pleasure.